We're finishing off our celebration of Small Business Week with Tony from Love Food. So we've interviewed, if you've been following along, we've interviewed 3 other entrepreneurs so far, a goldsmith, an esthetician, and a plumber. So Tony, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about you and Love Food?
Well, Love Food is 7 years old. It all started with, I was growing tomatoes in my garden at home, and we had too many tomatoes. So I made salsa, brought it to the farmer's market. It was a hit, and then started doing jams and jellies, and that worked out really well. Then the season ended, and then I decided to open a little gourmet gift shop in my garage. So it was very small, it was 189 square feet. Did that for maybe 2 years, and then I was making a bit of food, and the feedback was really good on the food, and then people saying, oh, you should open a restaurant. I've never run a restaurant. It's not my field, but I've always had a passion for it. And so I opened a little over 4 years ago on 2nd and Pitt, and then did 4 years there, and then we moved here almost 6 months ago down to Pitt Street.
Right. And just so everyone knows, this wasn't a field that an industry that you practice in. This wasn't you don't have any certification. That this was just something that you came upon, right? Because you were doing something else before this.
I'm from graphics and marketing, and I had a good base in cooking and baking, but I learned from the University of Google and YouTube. So it's when you have a passion for something, you make it work.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And going back to when you were getting this advice from people that, hey, you should start your own business, was that something you thought, yeah, that's a great idea, I'm going to execute that right away? Or was that something that you thought about for a while, talked to people about, and maybe it took I guess I'm curious to know, from the time you thought, hey, this is a great idea, to the time you actually started it, how long did that process take you?
4 weeks.
4 weeks? Oh my God.
It's 4 weeks. I was on vacation, and I was like, yeah, I want to do something bigger than what I had in the little garage. Don't get me wrong, I love the garage. It was quaint, and people loved it, and they felt like they were coming into my home, which it was. It's connected to my house. No, I decided I wanted to open a full-on restaurant. Never have done that before. Found a space, and I got the space 2 weeks later, and then for a week, like 12-hour days, just prepping it and all that, and then opened, and I had hired someone to work with me, but that person was scheduled to go on vacation. So that person couldn't cancel the vacation, so I did the first week on my own. So I opened, and I didn't know what to expect. It was busy, quiet, but I was doing everything. Cash, cooking, baking, dishes, name it.
All by yourself?
All by myself for the first 7 days.
Did you ever imagine, at that point, that you would get to this place? That you would get to this level?
I knew that it would grow, but not this fast. Yeah. Because when the first location had 8 seats, which is very manageable, and then we did an expansion, and then we had about 22 seats, which was still manageable. And then here we are at, I think it's 46 seats. We could put more, but we have these nice big comfy chairs that take up a bit of room, but very different from going from 8 seats to 40 some odd.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
It's a lot of dishes.
Yes. So, and that's a good thing, right? Because expansion means that you can hire more staff. That's more employment for the city. So it works well.
Yeah, like at our old location, there was 2 staff plus myself, and now we're 8 plus myself.
Right. So for all of our viewers, for those that thought about getting into business for themselves, or people who are really passionate about something or great at doing something specific, what advice do you have for those people when it comes to starting your own business or starting on their own?
The best advice I can give people is, you can make anything a business. Anything. 2 things you have to remember. You have to be extremely passionate about it, because it might not take off right when you start. I remember when I started 7 years ago, you know, there's like, it could happen days where no one shows up. You know, for me it was direct because of where I was located. Like you really had to know where I was.
Right.
But be good. The second thing is to be very good at what you're doing, and don't offer too many things. Like become the master of a few things and get known for that. When you've mastered those, then expand.
Right.
And I learned that from experience.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you stretch out a little too much,
Yeah.
and then something, it's not the same caliber that you want, that you have for other things, and you want everything at the same level.
Yes. Never jeopardize your quality for quantity.
No. No.
Yeah.
Because it's tempting sometimes. You're like, oh yeah, we can do this, and you know. Especially when you're a small business, you're not corporate. You don't have like a board to answer to or anything, so you can kind of do things on a dime. But again, remember to always do the best, be the best at what you do, and just concentrate on that.
Yeah. That's good advice. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you've been watching the other videos, thank you for participating and watching our videos. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur, there are a lot of resources in our community. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that would be happy to give you some advice. You also have a lot of organizations in the city, like the Cornwall Business Enterprise, the Chamber of Commerce, Community Futures Development Corporation. There are a lot of resources to help guide you in the right direction and to give you the assistance you need. So good luck.